It is a great honor and a privilege to introduce Binah, Brandel, Chapek, and your married name is Kamilar. And Binah, you are a child survivor of the Shoah, of the Holocaust. So if you could relate your story to our listeners, it would be such an honor, really.
I'll be honored to anybody that wants to listen. As I was introduced, my name is Binah Kamilar, but I was born in Belgium, in Antwerp, and in the 24th of February 1934. And well, I'll go on from there. My parents were from Poland, and they came to Belgium because Antwerp had an international pier, and there were boats going to Eretz Yisrael. They would never use the word Palestina. It was Eretz Yisrael. And so they came and they tried to find out what's going on, and also other parts of their families also came from my mother's side, from my father's side, and they all were hoping to go as well. And when they arrived, my father found out that was in those years, I don't know exactly when or what, but I presume it was in the 20s or something. I don't know. But there was a big famine in Israel, in Eretz Yisrael. Yeah. And people were dying like flies. And a lot of cemeteries here in Israel that have places like that, full of people who died from starvation. And then also, it didn't tell me at the time all the details, and I was a little girl. That also there was the big attacks of the Arabs on Jewish communities, and they killed, they were out to kill the Jews. There weren't that many people at that time. And so the well-known one is the one from Hebron, where they killed about 70 people.
It was Tarpet in 1929.
In
29.
29, yeah.
Tarpet.
So all these things kept interfering. There were no boats going. People were running away or dying from hunger. So that was it. So they were, in the meantime, got settled a little bit in Antwerp. And then he had, my mother's sisters were also there, married ones. And they didn't want to wait and see what happens. So they wound up, I don't know where they wanted to go, but they wound up in Argentina. So of course they survived in Argentina. Oh, and I want to show you, can I show you? I'll bring here a picture that they sent me from Argentina. I don't know if you want to see the snow.
Okay, very nice.
That's myself and my sister. My sister was much older than I.
In what year was this?
I don't know when she sent it, but she used to send the family pictures. And this was sent to Argentina. And I was going to talk about this later, but I'll tell you about it later. So anyway, they went away, and also in the beginning of the war, also before the war, another brother of my father left for the States because his wife had family there. They just wanted him to come to the States. And then another uncle of mine, in the beginning of the war in Europe, he decided he also wants to go to the States if he can get there, and they didn't let them in. So he wound up in Cuba. So they were there, and then eventually I'll tell you about it later. And so those are the people that actually survived, because they weren't in Belgium. But in Europe, in every country, there were people from our families, because in those years there were big families, they had 10, 12 children, and they settled in Belgium, in France, in Germany, in Poland, and you name it, in every country. So there were hundreds of our families, and after the war, my uncle, one of my uncles, my mother's brother, escaped from Antwerp. He was smuggled to Switzerland. Then later on he sent for his wife and the children. They also were smuggled out. So they were there, and of course they were saved. And then after the war, when everything was over, eventually he came back because he was in the diamond business. So he came back to Belgium to see what's going on. And on the radio, I guess, they were giving over names of children that survived, that were in hiding, that were in convents and all that. And somebody heard my name, and so he told my uncle about it. And they had about 5, 6 places, children's homes, where they had the children. And so he went looking for me, where I was. He found me. Yeah, but that's part of the rest of my story. I'm getting all confused now. So anyway, I'll just talk about the immediate thing. So anyway, yes.
Binah, can I just ask, your family left Poland to go to Eretz Israel. They were very Zioni, they were very Zionistic.
Very, very. When I was little, that's all I heard. That my father used to read us stories about Eretz Israel, even books about the fruits and the vegetables, how they tasted and everything. He used to get the foreword from the American Jewish paper and read it, and read us articles from it. That's all we heard about. And I had like a whole shelf of pushkas from all kinds of different places in Eretz Israel, and all the money that I got as gifts, for Yom Tov, for my birthday, for things, I could not use it for anything. That money I had to use on Friday night before Shabbos. I had to choose 3 pushkas and put in money that I want, that I had, my own money. I had to put in before Shabbos. And it took me a long time to decide where to put it. And so my mother used to say, by the time you're ready to do it, will be time for $50. So everybody that was there always was laughing their heads off. So anyway, and my father, stayed and all that. And
do you know which town in Poland, which shtetl or which village?
My father was from a place called Pilitz. Doesn't mean nothing to me because I haven't been there. And my mother is from places that the family was at, but I don't know how or what. But Volbrom was a place, and there's places near Krakow, I think it was, and Katowice, all kinds of places like that. The family was. So I don't know what it was exactly they did, but that's where they were from.
And were they a very frum family? Were they a very, very religious family?
Frum family, yeah. I don't know how frum. I didn't meet them. I don't know them, But that's what I understood. And I know that we had certain customs or something, and my father never talked about anything. Specifically that I can recall. But there's something that there was some Hasidic stuff in the family also. So anyway, so we were in Belgium, and so that was it. And from what I understand, he opened up. When they came there, and they were around, so they had from some Jewish something there that you could look up if there are things you want to do or learn. And so all the languages they knew, and this they knew, and that. So the only thing they were interested in, just like that, was Esperanto. And they learned Esperanto, while they were there. They thought they're going to be leaving. Anyway, I vaguely know those things, because I don't remember the details. But something that my father opened up a kosher restaurant. And people started coming and all that. And then there were single men who used to come and sit down. But they didn't order like a lot of stuff, just a little. And, got to talk to them and all that. My parents were very, very hospitable people. They were really the type of people who say, "V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha." Every person, they could tell, So they had these people come, and my father used to talk to them, and he realized that they're poor people, they don't have. And I guess that they're also single or something. They don't have anybody to cook for them or anything. So they just came to eat something. So my father used to give them a little more, that and that. At the end, he wound up giving them that Michael didn't take. And what happened? One told the other one, and the other one. Half the town showed up to eat for nothing. Really, that's what happened. And so my father couldn't keep the business because he already got a name, and that's what everybody's telling everybody. So he had to close the business. But he still was into the food, into helping people. And so he opened up a big store. We had a big house, three stories and half stories. And so the whole downstairs, which was an apartment in itself, he opened up the whole floor, a store. Very big, with everything. And outside also, like fruits and stuff. And it was a Jewish area, but there were Goyim there too. It wasn't like specifically like a ghetto or anything. So people used to love to come, and also Goyim and Jews. And he always could tell from what the person was buying and what they didn't, and what they were looking at, So he could tell things. And so also the people used to come in, and they ran away. The war started in Germany, 38 already was already tough. And my parents helped smuggle people out of Germany. And people came from Poland and Poland in 39, people were coming from Czechoslovakia, from different places, and they tell them to come to our store because my parents spoke all the languages, so they can help them. They knew that my family was always helping people. So they used to come and talk to them, not just about food. Food, everybody needs food, but also tell them what they advise, what they want to know, what they can tell them. So he spent a lot of people with the people, and that's before they even were buying things. And he also could tell by them if they're hungry or not. And then he would tell them before they shop, what is it? You okay? Before they shop, he used to tell them, why don't you go upstairs, and my wife will give you some lunch or supper, whatever it is. And we had people working for us in the store, upstairs, everywhere, At that time, everybody had that. And so the person used to go upstairs, used to serve them a meal. But Shabbos was, the house was full, of people, all the time. Also family, that and that, so people knew us. Also, I was little, and when I was about 2.5, 3 years old, something like that, they had people from the store that came that used to buy things and have it delivered. So we had people who had like a triporteur, like a thing like that you put the stuff in, like with a bike and 3 wheels. Triporteur. That's
a tricycle.
I don't know what that means, but it was a big wagon, and you put the stuff in it, and it's a
tricycle.
I don't know what it is, and they used to deliver things, and already at that time, they said, "You go," and my mother used to prepare 10, 15 places, I don't know exactly, of things ready for people to bring them that were ill, that just had a baby, big families, they couldn't get away. So they used to deliver this. But they wanted me to learn what it is that this is all about, what they're doing, for me to learn. As little as I was, they said, "We are sending you so you can see the people and everything and say hello from us." And so in the morning, I had a nanny, and she in the morning used to make me cook cereal, and she used to have to make with chocolate a design, a flower, a house, something. And if I didn't like it, I didn't eat my cereal. She had to make it all over again.
Wow.
That's in the morning. 10 o'clock, I had some crackers or something with fruit and thing, and chocolate on it. Lunch, depending if it's milchig or fleshig, accordingly. 4 o'clock, chocolate pudding with a surprise chocolate cookie in it. And at night, also depending if it's milchig or fleshig, but then, most of the time it was milchig, so I got a big piece of chocolate 5 times a day. So I am a chocoholic, right? And people say, "Wow, so you must like the best chocolate, Belgian chocolate, Swiss chocolate." I said, "A chocoholic eats any chocolate they can put their hands on." So they said, "Oh." I said, "I know what good chocolate is. I couldn't always get it, So that's about the chocolate. So everybody knows, So anyway, to continue, so they put me in the wagon, and they used to take me and take the stuff out and give it to them. And I used to see the children there and all that, and how they right away, sat down to eat. And so I saw this, Oh, and in the morning, my mother used to say, "Hurry up and eat, because you have to go." So that was one thing. When I turned to be 3.5, I don't know exactly, my mother said, "No, you're a big girl. No, you have to eat after you deliver." That's it, because you know that the people are much hungrier than you are. And apparently I was very, very intelligent and very much ahead of myself. So my mother said, "You know what I'm talking about." She says, "You go and deliver, and then you come back, and then you can eat." That's how I was taught. And so I used to go there sometime, didn't stay a very long time. I used to go around, see what the kids are doing. And I saw all these broken toys there. And I said to them, "Don't you have good toys?" They said, well, they all break. You know, we're big families. I said, oh, I said, can't you get, I didn't know. I said, don't you get new ones? They said, well, we can't always get it, only if we get a new thing. So I said to them, well, maybe you want to give me the toys and I'll have them fixed, because they had like toy hospitals, for real. And so they said, no, they don't give it away for nothing. They play with whatever they can. So I came home and I told my mother. So my mother said, well, what do you think you should do? I said, well, I thought maybe if they let me take their toys, you can get them to the hospital, and maybe I should give them some of my toys, you know, in the meantime, or give it to them, or what, because I had a lot. So she says, very good idea. So she said, okay, you go there, bring some of your toys, and then see what happens if they'll give you theirs, and you said you'll fix them and you'll bring them back. That's what I did, and they listened to me. I brought them my toys, I took them, and my mother, she found out what can be fixed or it can't, and then she bought new ones, and so brought them back everything, and then they gave me back mine. And that was going on, like things like that. So and my mother said, I'm very proud of you. That's what I want you to know. I want you to look and see what they need and how they live. And so you know how hungry those people are. That's what I learned. And so this went on, and then, like I said, the other people who came from everywhere to talk to them and everything. So we knew lots and lots of people, and that's what I enjoyed doing. But they learned also from the restaurant that they can't just do things for people, and then the next thing you know, the whole town is going to be there. So they used to tell them, you know, I'm inviting you for lunch, for supper, whatever it is. I'm giving you things, but this is just between us. I don't want this to go anywhere else. But also, they had people that used to come shopping that my father knew. The butcher, this one, that one, big families. And they weren't any big asherim, you know.
They weren't wealthy.
Yeah, wealthy people. They were also big family. So they used to come and make a thing for Shabbos on order. They had to be delivered. So my father, people that he was interested to deal with them himself, used to tell them, I'll take care of that. He used to fill the order himself and give it to them to deliver. So they used to deliver it on Friday morning or what, I don't know. But after Shabbos, you know, Sunday, I don't know when it is, they used to come and say, you know, that you gave us the wrong thing. We had things we didn't, you know, we're sorry, we gave us the wrong stuff. So my father said, if it was beshared, you should have it, it's yours. And little by little, they realized, he said, Zehu, no questions asked. That's what they used to do, in spite of everything else. But Baruch Hashem, they were okay. And also we had the police station that was not too far from us, and they used to come in like, you know, get something they wanted to buy, you know. So my father used to say, you can have it. And so they were very good to us. They used to come and tell us what's going on, especially when the war started. And that's what is going on. And all our neighbors and everything, they all loved to come to us. And we had a family that lived across the street. They were Catholic people. And they had a son who used to come into the store like all the time. Every Montag and Donnerstag wasn't enough. Every day he was there, he bought little things and used to roam around. What happened? We didn't know that until way, way later. He was in love with my sister. But in those days, you didn't tell right away, you know, or talk to them. It was a different world at that time. So that was it. So I guess he wanted to see her, you know. We didn't know nothing about it. And then all these things, I'm telling you because all these things came in handy later. Anyway, this is how things went on.
Did your sister know?
Nobody knew.
Your sister didn't know either?
We didn't know. Nobody in my family, nobody knew anything.
Not your sister either?
Nobody.
Wow.
When I tell you nobody. But in those days, a guy didn't just fall for somebody and tell anybody. First he was like roaming around, and then here and there, then maybe he told his parents, or it never came to us. So well, he was a nice young man. I mean, always bought a little something. So and the parents, you know, they were very good clients and everything. So so then yeah, this is how things were going on. And we used to go on vacation, going away. So we always went 2 families together on vacation, like to the same place. So we were with each other, we did things together. And this is what happened when the war started. In Belgium, and we went, there was a school around the corner from us, where we lived, was the Zuider Teurer. And that was an Aguda school, where they learned, because people spoke Flemish, and they taught everything in Yiddish. So people who didn't know French or other languages used to go to the Aguda school. And there was the Tarkomoni, which was the, you know, which was the world religious school, but like a Mizrahi school. And so my parents, in spite of the fact that it was around the corner from us, they sent me to the Tarkomoni, because we spoke Yiddish in the house, of course, but I spoke French, I spoke other languages, and because in Belgium everybody speaks a number of languages. So they wanted me to go because they were Mizrahi people and not Aguda people. So they used to send me there. So in those times, the Tarkomoni was separated. The boys were on one street and the girls somewhere else. So that's what was going on. Anyway, but my father used to donate to both, of course. So in any case, I don't know what else I can tell you, but I'll just go on. And then, like I said, we were on vacation. That was in May, and we were near a I don't know what it was, a lake or a stream or something there. It's just a thing. And suddenly we heard something, plane or something happened here and there. And then everybody, went outside to look. And there was a guy who parachuted down. And he was a British guy. And he said, the war is starting. I don't know all the details. And I know that also after that, there was one that came and parachuted down our house. And there was a place that they could down. So that's what was happening in the beginning. And you remember the parachute? I remember those things. I was too young to know much. I didn't know the days. I didn't know the.
How old were you in?
I was 6 years old.
6 years old.
When the, in February, and this was in May, the 10th of May in 1940. So we were over there, and we found out that the Germans came in to Holland, from Holland to Belgium, from Belgium they were going to France. We didn't know that. We only found out that they were in Holland, and word of mouth, So everybody was running away from their country because they didn't want the Germans to attack us. People knew about news. They knew about what happened in Germany, what happened in Poland, what happened there. So people were running away from the people who are conquering them, Goyim and Jews. And people were going with horse and buggy, with bikes, with anything they had, and with sacks and stuff. And they were walking their way all through. And so we were there, which was right by the French border. So the two families, we decided we might as well go into France. So they went somewhere because they didn't have cars in those times. So they went somewhere to some place nearby there. I don't know how they knew or what. And there was like a farm or something. And they went there. I don't know what they went for, but then they wound up going there, and they bought a car. And the guy suggested to them, if they want to buy it, they said, how much is it? So they said, and it sounded very cheap. They didn't know why. They said, what's wrong with it? They said, nothing. They said, we have more, and we figured we'd sell. So they bought it. They figured this way we can. It was not like a regular car. It was like a little camionette, so we could sit in the back, So they didn't know how to drive. So he showed them how to drive. That's all they knew. And you have to buy gasoline,
Mm-hmm.
So that was it. And they couldn't figure out why it was so cheap. But anyway, they were happy, and we went. And we could have gotten faster places, but there were so many people on the road, they couldn't get faster, So it was a problem there too. But we ran out of food and stuff already, so we used to stop every time, go onto a farm, and buy, whatever we could have from them. And so we went. One place, for instance, that we came there, we saw the chimney was still on. We went over there and knocked on the door, so they didn't answer, this and that. They looked around, they didn't see the people. So I don't know, one of the kids tried the door and it was open. So we called, the family, and they went in. And they saw the coffee was still on the thing, everything. You know what? Waited and waited, and they looked what it is, might be kosher enough so we can get it. And we left money and we just went. And every time we needed something, we stopped somewhere. We had the car, so we could go places, And so we went into another place. So we wanted places where to sleep. So we came to a farm there, and we asked them, we'd be happy to pay to have some place. So they said, you're lucky because the war started, so the people that were working for us went back home, to be with their families. So we have a whole place there where they lived, the workers. So you're welcome. So we were there, and they also used to buy whatever they needed from them. I saw what a pretty good arrangement. They had 2 little girls. I used to play with them, and that's all. And I used to go to the house and everything. And they used to give me stuff also, you know. The kids ate, I ate with them.
And this is a non-Jewish family?
They were goyim, but I mean, when I was eating something or drinking something, it was something I was familiar with, you know. So I figured it's kosher. I didn't, you know, make a big deal of it. And when I told my parents, I said, it's okay, it's okay. You know, it's not like I was eating meat or anything. So one day he said, okay, tomorrow morning I'm going to take you people, the 3 of us, to the lul, to the chicken thing. I'd never been there, something like that. I came there and went crazy. All these chickens, all these eggs, all these things, like, I never saw so much stuff. And he was getting them out, all that. Then he took eggs and he pricked them, you know, and gave it to the daughters, and they were drinking it. And he gave me, and I kind of looked, I said, I never had that. I don't know if that is kosher. My mother never gave me this. I never saw this. So I figured, well, so he says, well, aren't you drinking it? I said, well, I don't know if I can have this unless it's cooked, you know. So I said, but would it be okay if I take it home and give it to my mother? My parents used to buy the stuff from him. So he said, sure, he said, can I have one for my sister? I said, okay. But what did he do? He pricked them, you know. So, okay, so then, I was going back, and as I was walking back with the eggs, I was holding the eggs, midway, there was a big bombardment, and there was something right in there was a big farm, and so it went right down, right near me. It was like, I think they could hear them in Belgium. So I went up in the air, and then I went down, and I was just lying there like this, and I was looking. I had the eggs. Thank you, dear God, thank you. Baruch Hashem. And so I was just lying there, and I was, and my parents who were, there in the house, they also heard it, of course. So they knew I wasn't there, so they figured I better go look to see where we were, So they went out, and they saw the explosion, they saw what happened. So they started hollering, but I couldn't hear. And finally, they came closer, and I kept hollering for them, And so suddenly they showed up, and they said, "Hi, thank you, that she's all right." And but I couldn't get up, I was, and I said, look, never mind. I said, look what I got for you. So they looked at it. They said, "Oh." I said, "You know what? They didn't explode." I said, "You know what? He put a hole in them. Is that kosher?" They all started laughing like crazy. So I brought them the eggs. So I did something, And I said, "Is that kosher?" I figured it might not be. That's why I didn't eat it. So, those are things that were happening. Anyway, we were there, I don't know for how long. I don't know if we stayed in a place for a week or a month or what, Anyway, every time we stopped in different places. Then we wound up also going, wherever we went, it was like thousands and thousands of people, and it was moving very slowly, So we came to a place where there was a big, what do you call it? like a royal place,
A palace?
yeah, a palace. And but it was empty. There was just some family that was living there, and everybody came there looking if there's places to sleep, you know. So we all came there, and it was like a big round, like, you know, like you drive in and you can go around, you know, a big place. And so we came in there with our car, you know, and put the car somewhere, and then we went. You know, we asked them, we can have a room. I don't know if they paid or what it is. But there was nothing in the room, nothing. They were empty. So what do? You know, we didn't have anything. So people were happy. They had a floor, you know, the room where you can go, or you can go to the bathroom or something. So there were other people. So we met also other people, and the kids used to go down and play in that chatzer, and that's it. And then we used to go upstairs and play and do things. One time we heard like a lot of noise of cars and things, and then we realized that the Germans had conquered France already. So they were coming up, and apparently they were also looking for the palace. So they started coming in, and we went downstairs. The kids who were playing, they were coming in and going around, and then they stopped, and there was a what do you call it? Noah,
A bicycle?
Not a bicycle,
like a motorbike.
A motor, yes, with a saddle, with a seat, like a seat like that, and that seemed to be like a big shop there, you know, sitting in the thing, and we had never seen that, and then so we were all looking at it, and the guy got up, the general or whatever he was, and told him, I'm going to be gone for an hour or something, or whatever it is, so, you know, I'll be back in so much time. And that's it. And I also knew German, so I heard what they were saying. And he said, so, okay, I'll be back later. So we all ran over to that guy, and we're looking at it, and we said, what is this, what is this? So he said, yeah, where are you from? So we said, from Belgium. He says, oh, I have something for you. And he took out the Belgian chocolate, because they came from there. Well, we couldn't believe it. We hadn't had chocolate, you know. And without chocolate, we didn't function. So he took out some chocolate and gave us, a whole bunch of kids. And he kept looking at me all the time. I don't know why he was looking at me. And so we went, so we said, oh, do you have some more? We want to take it back to, you know, the little children, the family. They said, well, I can get you some more, but I have to go get it, because there were trucks that they had with all kinds of stuff. They had a truck just with goodies, you know, the truck for this and truck for that. So, but he was the big macher, the one that was there. So everybody knew him. They used to do things for him also. So he said, okay, so I'll go and get it. It's not far from here. So he says to me, you know, he says, you want to sit in the thing? I said, yeah. And everybody said, me too. He says, there's only room for one person, so you get in. So I got in. I don't know why, but I knew he was looking at me. I don't know why. So we went out, and we went to the truck that he was talking about. It was full of people there. I don't know who they were. They were buying things from. So the guy went over there. He says, I need some stuff. So he said, you know what? Come back in a little while. Meantime, get rid of some of the people, and I'll take care of you, you know. So he said, okay. So the guy said to me, you know, I have a ball, So we'll go here to the park, That's a place, It's all wood and everything. We'll go and play ball for a little while and then we'll go back. Okay. So we went and we were playing all that, and then he says to me, you know what, we'll sit down for a while. Okay, so we sat down. Then he says to me, you know why I was looking at you all the time? Yeah, why? He says, because you look just like my daughter.
Wow.
I have a daughter, you look just like her. And the minute I saw you, I went crazy. He said, I miss her so much. So we were sitting down, so he gets close to me, says, can I give you a hug? I said, only my family hugs me. He says, but you're my family. And he grabbed me, and he was hugging me. And I was like this, I was frightened, but he was like talking nice, and he called me by the name of his daughter, and all this, and he says, oh, and he was saying this, I understood what he was saying, And so I said, yeah, I'm sorry that I'm not your daughter. He says, but right now, you're the best thing there is besides my daughter. So he was telling me about her and about everything. And then he said, he was done. So I said, no, I can't anymore, I'm not supposed to be hugged by anybody else. He said, you're right, but you don't have to tell them. I said, I tell my parents everything. He says, well, I said, yeah, I want to go back. He says, you don't want the chocolate? I said, yes, I do. He says, well, so we'll play a little more, and then we'll go and get. So I didn't know what to do. So I said, okay, only a little bit, only we're going to play. He said, okay. And he kept talking to me as if I was his daughter. So then we were, we were going back, and he said to me, I said, oh, I'm so frightened to go back and tell them. He said, you'll bring them the chocolate, they'll be happy. You don't have to tell them. So we went, and the guy was giving us all the stuff and everything. So we're going back. We came back, the kids weren't downstairs, upstairs, wherever they go. So I said, okay, I don't know if I'm gonna give them the chocolate. They'll want to know how I got it and all that. And I was afraid that maybe the children went over to my parents and told them that I went. So I was so frightened. So I came back, and my parents didn't say anything. They said, okay, everything all right? I said, yes, and I have something for you. And I gave them the chocolate. What is going on? Where did you get this? So, I didn't tell them the whole story, only told them part of it. But I felt so bad. I always told my parents everything. So, after a few days, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I think I have to say something, I'm going to plot. So I told them. They said, we know that you have a good memory. You know that we told you. Never go away without telling us first. And you went away with a German. I said, so? Didn't know, because I've seen German, I've seen Belgian, I've seen French. To me they all look the same, in a uniform. They said, yeah, but, they're conquering the country. I said, yeah, so, but they're nice to us. They didn't do anything. At that time, they weren't doing anything to the Jewish people. They were just conquering the country. So anyway, I got the business, but my parents said, Baruch Hashem, you're okay. And that's how things were going on. I don't know how long we stayed there. Then we started going again, and we finally arrived to a town in France. And so we decided, the two families, when we go to a hotel and get some some rest for a while. So we went, and we got to a hotel that was like in the corner, of two streets. And we parked the car or whatever it was, and that's it. We went in, and we got settled, we got rooms, everything, כמו שצריך, And then suddenly my parents said, you know what, we want to go back to Belgium to see what's going on, and maybe bring my sister. I don't know when my sister left us for some reason, that she went back or not. I don't know the details, I don't remember. So they said, you know what, you stay here, with the family, and we'll go back, and we'll come back tomorrow with Esther, that's my sister. So, okay, so they left, and it was many times with the family. So they waited, they said, tomorrow back, we'll come back by train. Okay, so, one of the family took me to my room, it was my parents, and I guess they put me to sleep, undressed, and they waited probably till I fell asleep, and then they must have left, and suddenly, I don't know how far to the night, there was a bombardment like right there, by the hotel, and it woke me up, and I take a look, and I see from the windows, flames going like, I don't know what's going on, all I saw was flames, and I look around and I'm by myself there. So I started screaming, and crying, and suddenly somebody came into the room, and they said, are you okay, are you okay? I could have said, we came to get you. Got me dressed and took me downstairs. Downstairs, everybody did the same thing with their children. They brought them downstairs. And you still could see from the windows downstairs, And so we were frightened, of course. So they said, what? They talked to the people from the hotel if they can take us into the basement so we won't be seeing and hearing all that. Okay, went down. And there they had big barrels of wine and beer and all that. And I guess the people bought it or what, and they had cups there and things to taste things. So we saw it, we started playing. And the next thing I know, they bombed again and again. And the things were shaking. And then sometimes the things opened up, or they fell, and the stuff was coming out. So what would you do? We're going to drink, right? You got yourself wine and beer, we drank, you name it. And we drank so much, and the stuff was running on the floor. We drank so much, we got shaker. And so we wound up sitting down on all this wine and beer on the floor, and we were hardly playing. And suddenly it was quiet downstairs. And they kept checking always by the door. They kept looking if everything is all right. We were laughing and we were playing. Suddenly it was quiet. Suddenly they came looking, and they saw us there like this. So they came in. They said they didn't know if they should cry or laugh, what was going on. So they came and got us out of there. And it was horrible. It smelled like, So they took us upstairs, and they said, you want some more beer? You want some more wine? And we were like this. I don't know what they gave us to drink, but we didn't have any problem falling asleep. They took us upstairs, took us all, And that was it. And then the next day, we wanted to go to the train station to pick up my family, they were coming in. So they went to get the car. The car was completely destroyed because it was outside. They had burned the place, so there was nothing left. So we didn't have a car anymore. So we got there somehow, and I was running down the street. There were other people walking also, I guess going to the train station or something, and I was already running ahead of them, and some other people walking, and I could see from outside people coming out, and suddenly, while I was running, there was another bombardment, and I guess somewhere, that train station or somewhere, I heard it and I saw. And I went up in the air again, but I fell on the guy that was right behind me. So if not, I would have been smothered, on the. So, and then my parents came with my sister, and I was like on the floor with the guy. I was like right one after the other, and they must have been already out already. And so they came and they saw me lying with the guy. They came over and they helped the guy up and me, and they hugged the guy. They said, thank you for having been there to save our daughter. So we said, well, I didn't have a choice. And then the other family came. They were all so happy, and they said they can do something for him, something. Those are things that were happening all along. But then now we didn't have a car anymore to go places. And we had a lot of family and friends. So we thought we would get there, but people didn't have telephones either, So our idea was to get to them, in different places in France. So we figured we don't know how we're going to do it, and everything is happening, bombardments here and there and there. So then I don't know how much time all those things went by, and then they were making announcements that the Germans said to the countries, everybody should go back to their country, הכול בסדר, everything is in order. They already conquered them, and that's it, everybody can go home. So I don't know how much time after that we were still there, quite a while, and then we decided to go back. When we came back, it was business as usual. We opened up the store, things were going and all that. And then after a while, I don't know how much, things started coming out against the Jews. Jewish people children couldn't go to their own schools, you couldn't go to the movies, you couldn't go here, you couldn't go there, doctors couldn't work with Goyim, teachers couldn't teach, little by little every time. But then the most serious things that were happening were that they told the Jewish businesses had to be closed. And so you don't have parnasa, right? Also, when they came out, I don't know how long one from the other, that Jews couldn't go out from the evening till the morning, to be indoors. So that was already, and so things were going on, and we were not exactly in the poorhouse, so, anyway, but then things were getting a little worse. So my father said, you know what, I think his brother from the States has sent him papers. I don't know what they were exactly, so we can come there. And he said maybe now's the time to go. And so he went over to his mother. He was the Bechor, and he was taking care of all the brothers and sisters and everything. He opened up a business for each one and all that. And his mother was living with her daughter. She was the only daughter. She was married with a child. So she was living with them. And she went to, he went there and he said, Mom, it's time to go. You know, your son sent me papers and we're going to take you with us. She says, I'll be happy to go, but not with her, with my daughter. He said, okay. She says, I'll be happy to go, but not unless my husband decides. And he said, no, things are going to get better, it can't get any worse. He said, no. His wife said no. So his mother said no. And that's the reason. And my father said, if you're not going, I'm not going. So because of that, he wouldn't leave the family. You know, everybody listened to him. He did everything for everybody. And so that's what happened. Also, I was still going to bring stuff to people, you know, when I was younger. So they also used to take me over to the store. They also had a food store. Used to take me over there so I can go visit with my grandmother, you know. So she had a room like in the back, you know. So I used to go and spend that time, you know, to play with me and all that. And one day, we must have come late or something like that, whatever it is. And they left me out and they continued, the guys. And I went in the room and she was sleeping. She took off her sheitel, she put it on top, you know, like a four-poster. She put it on the top. And that was it, she was sleeping. And I was calling her and all that, and she was out of it. So what am I going to do? I have to keep busy, right? So I climbed on top, took off the sheitel, and put it on. And I said, I'm going to go shopping. So I went into the store, you know, and I was shopping, and taking things and everything. And I had to keep busy, you know, everybody was busy. So, all right, so finally they came to get me, you know, and so I said, you know, goodbye to everything. I put the stuff down, and I went. And I went back and everything, it was okay. The next thing I know, way later, they came, you know, my aunt, you know, came and then they said, what happened with the sheitel? She's missing a sheitel. They said, what did you do with it? I said, I don't know. I don't have it. What did you do? I said, I don't know. I left it. Where? I didn't know where. I didn't remember. It's there. I didn't bring it home. I said, wow, what am I going to do? She only wants that sheitel. She has a Shabbos sheitel. She has a this sheitel. This was her regular sheitel. She doesn't want to wear any other sheitel. She wants only that, or she's not getting out of the room. And I didn't know what to do. I said, I don't know. I didn't remember, you know. I said, I know I left it. Then later on, they were refurbishing the food stuff, and they found that I had put it there, you know, left it there with some stuff. So they were so upset because my grandmother wouldn't get out of the room. So they had a whole to-do, and they called they said they're going to come back and they have to punish you for doing that, because you're a smart girl and you should remember these things. Wasn't that important, right? I know what the hell they were talking about. So anyway, they found it, thank God. So I said, well, I want my Uncle Leo to punish me, because he loved me, you know. He's the one that went to Switzerland, and so they were all laughing because they knew that he liked me, I liked him. So he said, Ah, you want me to punish me? Wait till what I'm going to do to you. So anyway, so those are things that were happening all the time. So anyway, so with these laws that you have to give up the panusa, you have that. So things were happening all the time. So one time, then we were sitting Friday night waiting for myself, my sister, I had a brother also, but he wasn't there. And and my mother was sitting down, and we were waiting for my father to come so we can make kiddush and that. So we're sitting. My mother was quiet. He came over, sat down, looked at my mother, and they had tears coming down their thing. So my sister says, ask. I said, what's going on? They said, look around, you see anything different? And we looked. The furniture, everything was in order. We didn't see nothing. Again, look. So my father said, this is the first time in your lives that we don't have guests for Shabbos. When we heard that, we started crying from shame, that we didn't think of that. I was 6 years old, and my sister was 13 years older than me. In your lifetime, this never happened. They were right. And we were so ashamed. We were crying, and so my father and mother, who had the tears in their eyes, also started crying. So we all sat there crying until finally he made kiddush. And so he said, while we were eating, he said, you know what? This is something that we've been teaching you all your lives, is to be helpful to other people and not to have rachmanis on yourself. Always know that the people are worse off than you are, and you know about that. You learn. To which my mother said, and you know what you have to do. You have to seek out those people, help them, and when you help them, you're helping yourself. That's what we raised you to do. And you know what? We were sitting and crying because of what they said. And we felt so bad that we didn't say, And you know what? The way they said it, it went into us like somebody stamped it. And you know what? I lived that way all my life. If I wouldn't have had that for me, I wouldn't be around a long time ago. And that's what I taught my children, my grandchildren. When I talk about the Shoah, about my life, if I tell them this one story for what we were sitting there, and I tell them, especially young people, they are, it's part of growing up. When you're a teenager, everything bothers you. You have problems with your teacher, you have problems with your friends, with your parents, this isn't good, that isn't good. And so I always told them, I said, listen, you're teenagers, it's normal for you. But just remember, the most important thing in your lives is your family. They love you like no one else. And you as well, but you get upset about this, you get upset. It's all right, I guess, because you're teenagers to be upset about something. But it's not the end of the world. And like I told you, what happened in my house, that they told us there's always people worse off and things that are worse than that. So don't get so upset with your parents. Love them. Nobody else loves them like you. And you should be there to honor them and to have them. And the only person that knows that is me speaking to you, because I lost them. I didn't know that before either. So I'm telling you, if you remember anything about the 2 hours I spent with you, if you remember this, you're doing this for my family as well as for me. Because they were an example for me, and I want you to learn from that. If you remember anything about everything I talked to you about the Shoah, this is about the Shoah also. And you know what? Some of these kids come home, not all of them, and I guess their parents know that they were going to be interviewing a Holocaust survivor, and they told them also that part. And the mother usually is the one that calls me, not everybody in the sound, and said, the first time in our lives that a child came home to me and said, I'm sorry. And hugged me and said, I want you to know that they will honor you, and I will try to help as much as I can, because that seems to be the most important thing. I said, where did you get this from? You couldn't believe it. Never said sorry before. So they told them the story. And so the person called me, the mother, and said, you know, we've been trying to tell our children all their lives what life is all about. But you didn't get it. But the way you explained it to them, it was very clear to them.
Such a beautiful and meaningful message.
So I said to the mother, I said, you know what? Thank you so much for calling me, because now I know that they didn't forget things. I told them, because I told them, you remember only one thing, just that thing. And they thanked me, They said, you know what? You made life much easier for us, because we realize they're good children, but sometimes they get, nasty, they get this, they get that. So I say, as long as I can say something, by remembering it, I'm doing this for my family, and I'm doing it for myself. I know that I've accomplished something. And that's why, because in the wartime I was a little child. So, people were saving me. Oh, so I didn't tell you what happened after. Still a lot to say, and it's getting late.
No, it's fine, it's good.
Can I still talk?
Oh, please.
So now I'm getting back to...
you had the Shabbos and there were no guests.
Yeah. No, so after that, I don't know what was happening. So what was the reason that we didn't have guests? Is first of all, that people that we invite for Shabbos, usually they come, but they also bring something, Mm-hmm. And also, you have to come, because in Europe, Shabbos comes much later than here, like 10 o'clock at night or something like that. Sometimes Havdalah is not until midnight or something. So people can't come. First of all, they have to bring something, and second, they don't have to, they do. And second of all, they can't go out, because Shabbos, even if they came earlier, they can't go back at night. So that's the reason. That's the first time we didn't have. You understand?
Sure.
And that's it. So my parents explained this to us, So then things were getting, like you say, with all this stuff. And then, of course, also the Germans, they're so smart. They came out as a new thing. There was no parnos or anything. They came out, they said, you don't have parnos, Jewish people, so if you want, then you go to France, and there we'll put you to work and things, and we'll send the salary to your family. Right? Yeah. You know it. I know it. But we never got anything. So there was a place not that far from us that was a Judenrat. You heard of that Judenrat? So that was an office that all the news, everything was going on. And so they, my mother, I think one time she got something from my father in the beginning.
They took your father away?
My father went because we couldn't go away, you know, because of my grandmother. And so...
And there was no income?
Yeah, there was no income, but on top of that, you know, we needed more, you know, we couldn't just rely on what we had, you know, it was going. So, and one time, the other Goyim also used to go to the market to get stuff, you know. So he used to help a lot of people then where to get the best stuff on the market and this and that. Everybody was very, very thankful to my parents for everything. And so when he closed the business, they would get stuff for us also. And they also, one time he went with them to help after the business was closed. And some people saw my father and realized, you know, he's not supposed to have a business open, but they didn't know. So they didn't know that he was coming to help them. And so they went and told, and so they came, they took him to that police station, like arrested my father. And luckily, from the police stations, they knew who he was. So they came to tell my mother what happened. So she said, what can we do? What can we do? You know. So they said, we'll see if we can do something later on. We want you to know that he's here because, you know. And then also later, the guy came and told us, and he said, you know, some guy that knew us, you know. So those things happened. So, you know, people were helping us. Then, like I said, he went, so he, you know, didn't know what else to do. So I said, okay, you know, been in France before, and this and that. I didn't know what he was going to be doing there. But so another brother of his went with him. The others, I don't know what they did. And I think once or twice we got something from a card or something, and then nothing. So my mother used to go to the Judenrat to see what's going on, because we haven't been getting any news from him and no income either, you know. So they said, well, you know, those are the chochmas, you know. And of course we never got anything. I never heard from him again. And so my mother still used to run all the time to the Judenrat, and then you couldn't go out, you know, at night or in the day. So when the morning came, when people could go out again, they had 2 big trucks that were closed up the street from each end, right? Mm-hmm. And they used to come out every once in a while, the Germans, and they used to go because people were supposed to be home, the Jews. So they used to come and knock on the doors, and the Jewish people, they tell them, get ready, yeah, we're taking you somewhere. You have a few minutes time, take whatever you want, and then we're going. And some people were, you know, what is that, you know? So some people tried to hide or this and that. Some people started crying, this and that. They didn't want to go and all that. So they would hack them, you know, hurt them and everything, and scream. you heard things going on. And our house, they couldn't get in because of the store. We had metal things, so they couldn't knock this down, So they used to knock and then go next. And there were Jewish people who lived in Goyim, So it was terrible what we saw. But we couldn't see from our house where the trucks were. And so we had Catholic people that who lived across further on. They used to see us, so they used to give us a sign in the morning that the trucks are gone. And who was the one who was doing it?
It was the boy.
The boy, yeah. So he used to give us the sign, and so we knew it's okay to go out. And so they were a lot of help for us, And so then, little by little, things were happening. And then they started off with saying that the young people, like who finished high school, they learned typing, they learned all kinds of stuff, and also spoke languages. So they said that young people should also go to the train and take them to a certain place, and from there they were going to assign them to work in offices, for the Germans, and that's it. So my sister got, the thing. So my mother wasn't anxious for her to go, So she figured, you know what? We're going to go over and see by my uncle and my aunt what they're up to. So we went there, and we saw the apartment was empty. We said, what's going on? So the aunt said, well, we put the furniture by people, something, and we're going away. My mother said, what are you talking about? He says, your brother left before, it was not long before, and now he said we should go to Switzerland. I said, you're going? How come we didn't know nothing about it? So they said, well, because we're being smuggled, and it cost a lot of money. I said, so what? Could they at least said goodbye or said something? They said, the way things are outside and all that, it's not so easy to get around. So they said, well, you can have the cab to this, to that, whatever. So my mother said, listen, this is the situation. I would like very much for you to take my daughter with you. I said, it costs a fortune, to be smuggled. So my mother said, so don't worry about it. You don't have to do it for me. I'll bring you money. I said, please take her. They said, well, we don't know how many people they're taking and if they have room to take her as well. So she said, so bring me the money, and then later on you'll come with her. So in the meantime we'll talk to them, and they're supposed to come like before midnight sometime, and then you can come a little later and I'll tell you what's what. So that's what we did. My mother went back, got money, brought it to her, and she said, please, you have to take her because otherwise she has to go. So she said, I understand. And then we came in the middle of the night back. We didn't care if they're going to catch us or not. My mother was so anxious for her to go with
This
them.
was your sister?
My sister. She was anxious, so got her a suitcase and everything. We got there, they were gone.
Oh.
That's it.
And your sister didn't go?
And they left without her. It was already, we waited, we didn't know what happened to them. I figured maybe she's talking to them or something. That was it. So we didn't have a choice.
And they took the money.
And my sister went with some other young people also. And so when this happened, the young people, so they, when they came, they did the street, they told us it's out, and he would always let us know. And then, I guess my sister used to be at the window also, and so didn't see my sister, when she went away, the next morning, so didn't know what. So he went like this, and so he came to see where my sister is. So my mother told him, she just left, she went to this place, and that place, we didn't know that, but that place was where they used to take the people that they had on the trucks and all that, take him to this huge place, and from there they used to send him on the trains to Auschwitz, to all kinds of places. So she found that out from the Judenrat, So she told him. So he says, "You want me to go and find her?" I said, they said that they're going to send her out to workplaces. So he says, "Yeah, I want to go." And he went over there, by train or whatever it is. He went there, but they didn't let him in. But he said the people who came, they're still there, and that's all they told him, And so he said, okay, they said everything is okay and all that, and he just said, everybody who came from, that was like, I don't know, number of hours, so much before. So he came back and he told us, so we were, and that was it. And I don't know if we got a postcard from her also or something, I don't know. And that was at the end. So my mother now used to go to the Judenrat for her and for, and we didn't know what happened, nothing. So my mother was very upset. And so we decided, because now we never knew when they're going to come again to raid our street, because we never knew, they went to different places. And whenever they felt like coming again, they came. So the same thing was happening. But it was just my mother and I. So my mother felt, bad, and she just, she felt lonely and all that. She figured she doesn't be home all the time, and so she stayed by this Goyim, a little bit. Then she stayed up. She didn't want to overstay, and then go back home and then go again places.
Where were you? You went with her?
I was always with her, She never left me alone. So then we wound up going to a very famous piano teacher, very famous, and she used to teach a lot of children, and she taught our whole family. There were a lot of children, a lot of cousins, and they all learned to play piano by her. And I was little, I also used to go sometimes there and see what's going on. And she used to put me also on the chair. She loved my sister, and she used to, make me with the fingers do a song or something. And she loved my sister, and she also liked the family. When my sister was 16 years old, it was her birthday, and we had a piano at home. And so she said to my mother, she said, "I think it's time you buy a new piano for her. She already gave recitals, my sister. She was her best student." And so she So she told us, anytime we want to come, we're more than welcome. And I don't know, either she was Jewish or her husband was Jewish. One of them was a Goy and one was a Jew. And whatever it is, they arranged for the other one, they changed things, so it was like a Goy, So we came there, and so she told us on her 16th birthday, she said, I want you to invite your family and everything to your house. We have a big house. Get her a new piano, and then she will play for everybody. And of course she will be there, and that's what happened. Everybody was there and everything. She was playing, and everybody was like delighted. And so she said, I want to tell you people, she is my very special student, and I love her if she was my own.
Wow.
And my teacher, who was a very famous pianist, didn't have any children, so she took off her pearls, they're very, very expensive, and she gave them to me. I didn't have any children either. So, Esther, you are the next one. I hope you will have children, but this is yours. And I want you to know how proud I am of you. And I know you will be a great, great pianist. I know it. That was, she's 16. And I was this little nothing girl, and I was just a few years old. And so I said, I also wanted that. So the teacher said, okay, I only have one. That's for your sister, because she plays so beautifully, right? And I teach you also. I said, when you'll be bigger like your sister, then we'll find some pearls for you. And I said, I want one. Everybody was laughing their heads off, and I only wanted to put it on. Anyway, those are things that. So we wound up going. We decided we're going to go to them, and they said, you can stay here as long as you want. Don't worry about it. We don't want you to keep going back because we know what's going on. That they're going to different places, and you're by yourself, and it's not easy. I don't want you to go back there. So we stayed with this. My mother said, you know what? We'll bring some stuff over for you to keep for my sister, for you to have it. And we want to go away. So where are you going? She says, I don't know. I might want to leave the country or want to leave Antwerp. Please don't go. She says, I have to go back to the house. But I don't want you to. She said, but I have to because I have to get clothes ready, I have to get money, I have to get everything. She begged her. She said, no, I have to go back. I have to still be home, and the following day I'm going to leave. So she said, and I want to hear from you again. You know you're very welcome. We went home, and the same time, the same night, again the thing when they were there. And she told us, she said, I have a feeling you should not go home tonight. So mother said, that's it. And I haven't gone to the Judenrat to see what's going on. I have to check all these things out. She went home. We went home. And she was getting everything ready. And then, the same thing, the screaming, the hacking, all that. And as they went further on, away from our house to that part of the thing, as the noise went less, we were going from one floor up to the next, so we don't hear it so strongly. And so I must have fallen asleep. I was lying down, and she still wanted to go to the Judenrat before we go. So she looked out And the guy gave her the signal, and it's clear, it's okay to go. She must have decided, being we're going to go away, she was going to let me sleep, because she can go faster by herself. She went out, around the corner, there on the way that way, I told you where the school is, the Jewish school, and there were cars there and everything, people, and suddenly she saw the truck there. She didn't know what to do. She looked, and some Nazi came over and grabbed her before she could think straight, put her on the truck, and you can imagine how she felt. And also there were people didn't want to go, you know, and they were hitting people. She got on the truck. She didn't know what. She had everything in her pocketbook, you know. I remember she said, everything is ready to go, you know. She said, those are your clean clothes, this is your clothes for the trip. What happens? One of her neighbors who has a store was passing by with her dog. It was early in the morning, walking her dog. My mother saw her from the truck, and somehow she got her attention, as much as she could talk to her, you know, and she threw her the keys of the house. And she told her, get her. And that's what she did. So I was sleeping, and suddenly I was on the 3rd floor, and, you know, and I look up, I thought it was my mother, you know. I look up and I see her, I knew her very well. And she said, you know, your mother gave me the key to come and get you, because she'd never been on the 3rd floor. She hasn't been on the 1st floor either. You know, she was only in the store, you know.
And this is a non-Jewish woman?
Yeah, Goya. And she had a store for bedding and for things. Very nice lady. And they were all customers, you know, in our store. So she said, yeah, she taught me the key to come and get you and take you to my place. And when she comes, she will come and get you. And I knew what things were going on, that, you know. So I said, okay. And then we were crossing the street, you know, where that one is, to go further, to go to her place. And she kept looking over there, but she didn't say nothing to me, you know. And so then she said, okay, let's go. We went to her house, and her apartment was parallel to the store, was right there. And so when we came in, she took me through the store. There were Germans there, there were other people there, you know, shopping. And then she took me around the kitchen, everything, and to her bedroom. Her bedroom was right by the store, you know. You could hear anybody talking there, or they could hear anybody talking here. So she said, you hear all this noise? She says, you know, we can't talk because they can hear us. You can't make any sounds, no crying, no laughing, no nothing. Don't touch anything, don't move anything. And she puts me in the closet, and she's going to close the door. I said, I'm not staying in the closet. Why not? I said, I'm afraid of the dark. I can't be in the dark. She says, but you have to. Nobody's allowed to know that you're here. You saw there were Germans in there were all kinds of people. They're not supposed to know that you're here. I said, well, I'm not staying here. So she said, what am I going to do with you? I said, I don't know, but I'm not staying in that closet. So she says, okay, go under the bed. But it's dark there, you know. So then she said, you know what? Go into my bed, and they have the puch, you know, the thing. You lie under there, and the minute you hear anybody opening the door or something, you get under it, and this way nobody will know there's anybody there. I don't care, she says, who comes in. You don't look, nothing, you stay under there. You hear me? She says, I don't care who it is. If it's me, I'll tell you, I'm here. And that's what it was. Now she had a son and she had a daughter. The daughter was a teenager, and she used to go out with young people, you know, and also with Germans. Why? Because we had rations. And this way they would give her stuff. The Germans would give her things because, you know, nobody had enough. So she used to get that from them. But her mother was afraid that maybe they'll give her something to drink, you know, alcohol or something, who knows, and she might just say something. So she didn't want her to know. And her son was in the Belgian army, but he also wound up in the underground. So she didn't know either, the daughter. She didn't want her to know that he is in the underground, and used to come home like 2 or 3 in the morning when the daughter went to sleep already. And she didn't know that he was there, because she didn't want her to know either, for the same reason. And so he knew that I was there. So he said, you know, they're watching out for these things. And so he knew I was, and that was all. And so this went on like this, and my mother didn't come, so I kept telling her, I said, what's up? She says, when she'll be able to, she'll come to get you. In the meantime, you're here by me. But it was getting very difficult, because I didn't like to be in the bed all the time like that. So she decided for Shabbos, she had 4 Jewish families living on the side of her building, you know. So she went to them, she said, you know, I have this little girl here, can you have them at least for Shabbos, you know? Because she has the store open, but she's, you know, this way she doesn't have to worry about it. So they said, okay. So they put me there, and, okay, I was there. Then we're going to make Kiddush, you know, the children, everything. And, you know, I was just talking to them. Then we're making Kiddush, and the parents were going to give brachos to their children.
To bless.
When I saw that, I started crying. I ran into the bathroom, and I cried, I screamed, I locked the door, and that was it. I stayed in there forever. They wanted me to come out to eat, nothing. They wanted to go to the bathroom, I don't open the door. This was going on like for a long time. I didn't eat, I didn't want to know nothing. So after a while, they also have to go to the bathroom. They didn't know what to do, so they went back down to her and they said, you have to take her because she doesn't shut up, she won't open the door, and we can't live like that. So she came and got me. And she did this with each family. And she said it wasn't, she couldn't deal with it, you know, because it was too dangerous. So she decided to take me to other Goyim, family of hers, friends that lived further out of town, all that. And every time she took me to different people, and then all kinds was going on. And then, from what I understood, they came to the, whoever it was there, the bishop, whoever it is, and the Germans. And they told them that a lot of Goyim are hiding children, Jewish children. So, the priest should give out orders that whoever hides children cannot come to church on Sunday. Right? And if they do come to, if they do come to church and they found out that they have children, they will take their children away also. So if they have children, they don't come to church, they will know that they're hiding children. So if they go and they're there, so it's always a problem. So this was going on like that, and the people who had me didn't want me to stay with them. They figured, let's let somebody else take me, And this was going on like that. And then, I don't know how long this was going, but I kept being taken to other people. And whenever I was taken anywhere or anything, was only in the middle of the night. And they used to put these rollers in my hair, because I had curly hair, because I should look like a little chick